Pentu Washte. Good day to everyone. I first want to introduce myself. My name is Yolanda Bluehorse. I am a member of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, and I am also a member of the Society of Native Nations. It's an indigenous-led nonprofit organization here in Texas. As you all know, we have all been covering and following the recent announcements that were made by the Army Corps of Engineers yesterday concerning the Dakota Access Pipeline, and that they had denied the easement yesterday. And of course, you know, this is a victory that has been long awaited. Yesterday, it was something that the water protectors that have been going through so much up there, that this was a long time coming. You've all seen the live feeds, the images that have come down from there as far as the use of water cannons and freezing temperatures. You've seen the macing, the tear gas, the rubber bullets, all of that. What I would like to remind everybody is that they are standing up for our right to have clean water. And this is just not an issue that is up in North Dakota. This is an environmental issue for all of the United States. This pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline, is routed to go under Lake Oahe. And if it does, and when it breaks, like many of the pipelines do, we've all been made more aware of the pipeline burst here in the United States, that it will affect 17 million people's drinking water. As a member of the Society of Native Nations and a member of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe and other Native Americans here in Texas, we began to hold actions down here. Energy Transfer Partners is a Dallas-based company that is behind the Dakota Access Pipeline. We thought that to do our part, to not only stand in solidarity with our brothers and our sisters up in the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, we would do something down here. We have continuously held actions at Energy Transfer headquarters. We've held marches, we've had prayer rallies, and we have all done this in solidarity with the way that they are holding things up there, and that is doing this in prayer. I think with the decision that was made yesterday, while we do all recognize today, this morning, late last night, with Energy Transfer Partners coming forward with a statement that they will continue building, our prayers are still being answered. There is a temporary halt on it. And with this halt, it would appear that Kelsey Warren, the CEO of Energy Transfer Partners, will not make the January 1st deadline that, from all accounts, is what the goal date that he needed to meet to his investors. It is important to remember that this is not just a Native American issue. While I, as an indigenous person of this land, am very humbled and proud to be Lakota, and that for once, that has not taken place in a long time, that we are finally having a voice to speak up. With the veterans that arrived this weekend, there are over 12,000 veterans over 12,000 people in that camp that's estimated right now. There are over 2,100 veterans that arrived this weekend, and they are standing up, not only for the right to have clean water, but to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's important because what the local sheriff's department has done up there, the violence that they have placed upon those water protectors who have no weapons, who have no guns, who have nothing but the power of prayer, is horrendous. You have people that somebody is potentially going to lose an arm, that has been blinded, and none of these people have acted in violence. this all has been done in prayer. With that, I am very proud to say that it is so important that we all keep vigilant. It is so important that we all look for these water protectors and pray, continue to pray for their safety. Very proud of what they've endured, because what they are fighting for is our rights. Our right, our First Amendment rights that are guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. And they are being attacked for this. Right now, with Kelsey Warren and Energy Transfer Partners making the statement last night, that they will continue the drilling process and that they were willing to pay the fines. I think the biggest question, one of the biggest questions to ask Energy Transfer Partners and Kelsey Warren herself is, how much are you willing to risk the lives of millions of people's drinking water? How much are you willing to risk damaging the environment permanently? And how much more money do you need? It was a small victory yesterday. It was a glorious day. But today we do realize that it is a temporary halt. And the next thing that I hope for is when the Dakota Access Pipeline people begin to drill on the Army Corps of Engineers property, will the local sheriff's department then turn around and start arresting those people for trespassing, as they have done the water protectors up in North Dakota. On that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric Reed. He is a lawyer that is based out here in Dallas, who has done several panel discussions about this and has had direct contact with some of these tribal leaders up in North Dakota. My first name is Y-O-L-O-N-D-A, and my last name is Blue Horse, the color blue in the animal horse.
Hello, my name is Eric Reed. I'm a Choctaw, and I was the former tribal attorney for the Cheyenne River Sioux Nation, which is the Indian reservation just south of the Standing Rock Indian Reservation in South Dakota, which is also affected by this Oahe Dam project and the Oahe Lake in the Missouri River, where the pipeline is routed now. From a legal standpoint, the decision is an administrative decision from the Corps of Engineers. It does not affect any of the claims of the tribe as it relates to the treaties of Fort Laramie of 1851 and 1868. The decision is based, as best you can tell, from the statement on the National Environmental Protection Act, which requires an environmental impact study before any pipeline, any type of project like this is undertaken. And that is one of the key reasons that they stopped the pipeline, is that was never done. And it was very strange how any permit was ever issued legally, because there is a practice now which is illegal and unlawful under the National Environmental Protection Act that Corps of Engineer departments are doing all over the United States, where these construction companies, pipeline companies, and other companies doing construction in Corps land will apply for a small segment of pipeline, let's say a mile, and claim that it doesn't affect the environment. And then they apply for another segment, and they do it on thousands of segments like that. And then in order to do that and be granted a permit for a small segment, you would think a small segment would just be a small project in one little area, and it doesn't go any further than that. That's what that was allowed for. But instead, they're extending it to these pipelines, which have, under the National Environmental Protection Act, cumulative environmental effects for everybody that are affected by the project. It requires archaeology, it requires paleontology, it requires water safety, hydrology, it requires everything that you can imagine that would be associated with an environmental impact statement and stuff. Without that, they can dig and dig up and like happened unfortunately, according to documents filed with the previous case in the courts, where the tribe and its archaeologists filed maps and evidence of 27 graves that had been bulldozed the day before the hearing on that case, which sadly, incredibly sadly, was what it involved the very historic and very well-revered chief Nohart, and where the descendants put the stone Kustek, which is why they called the camp Sacred Stone Camp. The environmental impact study will involve having to look at these sites again. The environmental impact study, if it's done proper and right, will do that, and they should have somebody that does this study, the consultant saw it in this, that's somebody who's knowledgeable about the archaeology in that area, not just some big commercial outfit that walks through and does a 3x3 square and says there's nothing there. You know, somebody that knows how to properly survey a site and understands the history and how these sacred sites relate to that area. And a tribal archaeologist under the consult with the tribe should be involved as well in that process. The decision, the way the decision has been made in the order of the Corps of Engineers is nothing can happen until an environmental impact study is done. They've made that determination, and that is what the tribe was asking the court to do, which the court failed to do, but now the court could see that they violated their own laws. And unfortunately, this segmentation practice, which is unlawful and illegal, is going on everywhere in the United States where these projects are. And so this is really the tip of the iceberg. The Standing Rock issue is really just the tip of the iceberg as it relates to, do we want, you know, is clean water important to us in the United States? Is it not important? Is one man's profit more important than your ability to have clean environment and clean water? The other legal part of this is, if they do violate the law, the question is going to be, is the Corps going to enforce the law against the company? And that is question mark. They can, and they will, and they can arrest the people for drilling. The other question, which begs the question, because they didn't enforce prior orders telling them to cease construction, where the ordinary citizen has to go out and, as an ordinary citizen, try by necessity of law, to enforce the order that the Corps of Engineers issued by peaceful protest in order to get them to the violator to comply with the law. And instead, they enlisted state police to attack the people protesting and trying to enforce the federal administrative order. So it's got to be one of the most bizarre situations I've ever seen in my legal career, 25 years. And with that, I'm happy to take any kind of questions that it might relate to the law as it relates to this issue and the Corps' decision.
This company broke the law.
Energy Transfer Partners and the Dakota Access Pipeline, as well as the Corps of Engineers regulators themselves. They know what the regulations are. They're supposed to hold these companies to task. But funny things happen when money gets involved, and people do funny things when money is involved. So why they didn't uphold the law to begin with and have this complete study done could have avoided all of this violence. It could have had a proper routing of that pipeline away from people's drinking water. And it's still a question mark to me why it went from being going on land, where if there's a spill, the contamination can be contained, cleaned up, and sequestered on dirt and land, going north of Bismarck and away from the water supply, rather than being routed right down the middle of the river valley right into the water supply, which is, if it busts, you can't contain that. It contaminates everybody's drinking water.
A lot of your concerns with the administration of President-elect Trump coming in, his response is exactly the opposite of President Obama and the Corps of Engineers' decision as it stands today. What are your concerns after January 20th? As you said, this is a
legal standpoint, even if when he's swore in, he can't do anything until the environmental impact study is completed, because that is the Corps' determination right now. Now, if the environmental impact study comes back and says we can route this pipeline, the statement of the Corps doesn't say it can't go across the river, which is probably the most disconcerting part of that written order. It just says they're going to explore another place that it can cross the river, and they're going to conduct an environmental impact study to determine what the best place of that is. And it's not where it is right now. That was pretty clear in the statement as well.
So the concern isn't that everything's going to change after Trump takes office, just that the way the order is written now, it doesn't stop progress. It's not a.
It stops progress as it is right now. The company can break the law and violate that order, but there's consequences for that. And there may well be some other civil lawsuits as it relates to the order based on the corporate response to the Corps of Engineers order.
But it's not a done deal.
Yeah, well, but as the order stands, there is to be nothing done on Corps land, period, at all. And in relation to that site, they're not going to grant an easement. They were very clear on that. What they said was they would explore other areas where the pipeline could potentially cross the river if an environmental impact study says that it would warrant that type of a crossing.
So we're facing something similar to Flint, Michigan. Is that what you're saying, sir?
I'm sorry, I could not hear you, sir.
Are we facing something similar to Flint, Michigan, sir? Is that what you're speaking of?
If the pipe busts, it would contaminate water for potentially for 18 million to 22 million people
What's your
downstream.
position, sir? Who
I
are
think
you?
that's dangerous.
Are you
I
a-
think that anyone with a brain would say they wouldn't want an oil pipeline going over a water supply.
Sir?
I'm
Are
sorry?
you with the government?
No, I'm an independent, disinterested attorney that has an expertise in Native American and international indigenous rights issues. And some environmental.
I think
Well, I think if they do the study appropriately and properly, it would route the pipeline where they originally had it routed. Because that's what the EA said that were required, the minimal assessment without even doing a study said don't put it near the water.
How much impact is this going to have on the future pipeline?
Well, it hasn't had really any impact, sadly, because of the endemic, institutionalized, systematic process of segmenting these projects and permitting them without an environmental impact study. And we have several in Texas. One of them is the Trans-Pecos pipeline that is being done the same way. Here in Dallas, the Trinity River Toll Bridge has been done the same way, a segmented process rather than the entire project evaluating how it's going to affect the hydrology of this river and whether or not it's going to flood all these people in the city of Dallas when they decide to construct a highway in between the floodlands.
You see the Corps doing a more systematic.
The Corps needs to look at their entire policy and unlawful practice of segmenting these large projects without an EIS done up front and without it being done by legitimate sources.
How likely is that of administration?
Well, you can hope.
I think it's important to, not only is Energy Transfer Partners a Dallas-based company that is breaking the laws outside of the state of Texas, it's showing what big oil money can do. It also is showing us, not only as a nation, but to the citizens of Texas, to the citizens that are around these pipelines who have had their property claimed by eminent domain, that this is a serious issue and it is real. It wasn't until the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Standing Rock Sioux tribes began to stand up for their rights were we all made aware of what the damage that these pipelines can do. And yes, Flint, Michigan I firmly believe that is just a speck of what our future holds if we continue to allow these pipelines to cross through our waterways, to cross under them, over them, near them. And the simple fix to all of this, you know, we can't get rid of pipelines overnight. Unfortunately, we are so connected to our fossil fuels and our energy, getting our energy that way. It's a dirty way to get energy, and hopefully in the in years to come, with this setting the precedence, our country will start looking more at clean energy, ways to do this without contaminating the land. But this is an issue for not only to have clean water, but this unlawfulness, this whole thing might be taking place in states away from North Dakota, but if a group of people were to stand up for their First Amendment rights in the masses here in the state of Texas, you have to ask yourself this: is this what we're going to be up against? Are we really a free and democratic nation that where we have the right to stand up for our freedom of speech, where we have the First Amendment? Are we really going to have that if some group in Texas decides that they want to stand up for something? This is a real learning process, I think, for the entire United States, that this is the way our government could potentially handle stuff like this. And that big oil corporation, they're getting away with everything. And the way a sheriff's department is getting away with the violence that they have perpetuated upon the water protectors up there who have no weapons is unreal. This could be one of us at any given point in time if we stand up for something down here. Let's hope and pray that the state of Texas does not react or act in an irresponsible way if somebody down here wants to stand up for their rights.
So is the goal here to set a precedent for a future pipeline that might run under the Pecos? Or yeah.
Well, any type of a pipeline or project that's could seriously impact our environment that we live in needs to be handled appropriately under the laws that exist, and not skirt those laws. Those laws are there to protect all of us. And like she's saying, the freedom of speech to say, hey, you're doing this wrong. They're arresting journalists along with ordinary people. People like you covering these stories are being arrested. And to say that these pipelines are vital for energy independence and national security, that is what they're saying, that's wrong. Number one, this tar sands field, that oil could be refined locally up there at 2 state-of-the-art refineries, less than 100 miles from the oil field. And then it could be matriculated into the local economy and utilized in the local economy as we transition into a better energy program. Instead, it's not for energy independence. All of this oil is being piped over to Illinois, and then it's being piped down to the Gulf of Mexico, loaded onto tankers, and sold to foreign interests. And as long as we're importing 1 drop of oil here, why are we exporting? Why are we selling oil for somebody to compete against an American worker or our own interests in this country for energy independence? And the third thing is they're saying that this pipeline is for national security. Give me a break. That's the biggest joke I've ever heard. All it would take is one monkey with a shovel and a sledgehammer and a book of matches to cause an environmental disaster on any single 1-foot piece of that entire pipeline. It's not buried that deep, other than where they plan on going under the river with it. And these pipelines, just like the one in Iraq that they said was going to pay for all of this war, not 1 drop of that oil had paid for that war. Not 1 drop of that oil has come to the United States, because that pipeline leaks like a sieve. And right now we have 185,000 square miles of pipeline that leak every day. Absolutely. There's one in North Dakota in a wheat field up there, and by estimates right now, they can't find where the leak in, and over 250,000 gallons of oil is leaked into that man's wheat field. And I would assume so. If you're the farmer and you own that wheat field, how would you feel about it?
I know is inform and make more people aware. Raise awareness. That's what each individual can do here, but especially the media. And I don't care if you cut this out. I'm talking to the group, every person here. The truth doesn't get out there. I heard that.
Let me ask this question real quick. The power of prayer and the power of people standing up. Talk about that.
You know, I would like to redirect that question to a gentleman that just returned from Standing Rock last night. He has made 2 trips up there. His name is Jesse Puente. He is of the Mohawk Nation. He resides here in Dallas. And like I said, he's made 2 trips up there, and will give you full testament to what he witnessed while he was up there.
What's that?
Your name and spell it for us, please.
Jesse Puente.
Hey, spell it first, last name. Spell your name.
Jessepuente. Okay, I went out to North Dakota the first time to find out what it was about because I was unsure. The media that I was getting was telling me one thing, and the videos that I was seeing from the people that were there was telling me a whole different story. So I decided I wanted to go out there to find out for myself what was going on. And being so, there was also a lot of people there that I could see lately that were cold. So I took a crew with me and several supplies and some funds where I would be able to purchase things that they needed. Now while I was there, I was able to go through a process, to be able to speak to the elders, to be able to listen to the people that were there, the people that have been through a lot of the videos that we see on Facebook because the media refuses to cover it. I was able to go out there and see DAPL on the hill and the force that they try to show to scare everybody there that has no weapons. I was able to see firsthand what they were doing to inflict fear in the people that are caring about this environment. Couldn't stay long the first time. I had to come back and drop some people off, get some more funds, and everybody here, I'm sure, has been helping me with that. Went back out there the second time. One thing I noticed that everybody there is human. I mean, they're just like you and me. You guys behind the cameras, they're us. The difference is that we're making a stand. You know, we're standing in front of the corporate saying, no, that's not right. And many times that governments, that big money corporates have tried to run pipelines and build dams to change environments, to change, I guess, the ecology that have failed, yet nobody ever hears any of that stuff. Nobody ever really knows about it because the media doesn't cover it. Well, I'm here to tell you that I've been there. I know what's going on. I think Kelsey Warren and his goons need to be arrested. I think the force that they're shooting people with beanbags, Americans on American soil, they're shooting their own people, your uncles, your cousins. They're out there protecting for something they believe in and getting shot and hurt and losing limbs. Because you guys just now decided you wanted to start covering some of this. And I'm not done. I'm fixing to go back up there. There's people out there still suffering. They'd rather die in the cold than sit here and not do nothing. That's why I'm there.
Having one of us around in this one will make it easier for folks to get organized the next time there's a pipeline project?
I think it's going to take a lot of people getting seriously hurt, including veterans. I think it's going to take a lot of pain on Americans for everybody to finally say we're done. For everybody to finally say, hey, we got to make a change. Because we know I've got my own opinions on the new president. I hope he does well. He's got money invested in this. I don't think it's going to go the right way. I think there's going to be a lot more pain. And you know what? I don't mind being in the front of the line. I don't mind. I would put myself down in humility in front of everybody. I would get myself hurt and lose a limb if that's what it takes for America to wake up.
I think there's more people like you that are kind of aware of this issue now because of the protest.
If you go up there personally and find out what it's about, you would feel just like I do right now.
You know, I think during this whole process, Kelsey Warren has a very tiny window, or had, perhaps it's already passed, to make this whole situation better, to reroute this pipeline, to get it away from the water. He has the opportunity to set an example for all of the rest of the big oil corporations who are looking at this from a monetary standpoint. And if Kelsey Warren, you're watching this, and the time that I have gone up into your building asking for an appointment to speak with you on a personal level, the time that the Society of Native Nations you said you would meet with us, but then you declined, that's the one question we want answered, is why not just reroute this pipeline? How many millions of people and veterans of this United States that willing to lay down their lives for you to be in business? Are you willing to risk hurting, poisoning, because your pipeline is going under a major water source? Why not? Why not just do the right thing? You know, as on a spiritual level, my people, we hold the Mother Earth with all of its elements, water, air, the ground. We hold it in deep regard. It's part of our belief. It's part of our culture. It's part of our teachings and our traditions. And for that, we won't stop. They have already claimed up in North Dakota, they won't stop. They will not leave, despite the eviction notice that was given for today. They're still there. And the veterans are still there with them. And for that, down here in Texas, we will still continue as well. And I want to tell all of the supporters here that have come to all of the different actions and rallies that we've had, thank you. Thank you, because I firmly believe that as long as we keep in solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and their firm stance on keeping in prayer and doing things in a peaceful manner, that we will win. We will win. We are all in a fight for something good, for something that is right. And that's the right to have our clean water and the right to stand up as Americans and practice our First Amendment and do our very best to keep this earth safe from all of the damage that we have done to it thus far.
One thing we do, particularly with the Lakota, is we end everything we do with a prayer. We say, Mataki Ekio Yasin to my relations. So, would you like to finish the prayer since you've come all this way?
I've got the wrong side of the rope on me right now.
I understand. Well, would you like to finish with the prayer then, Yolanda?
This whole movement has been held steadfast by prayer. To watch those images that came down a few weeks ago of my people getting hurt and getting shot, and to be down here in Texas and you can't do anything about it. It to my core. They're standing up for all of us, and they're enduring hellish conditions up there right now. So for a moment, I ask all of us to clear our minds. Consular, I ask that you protect all of those warriors up there, that you protect them and keep them safe, and you give them the continuous fortitude that you've been giving them to stand strong. I know at times it has just got to be emotionally draining and physically draining on them. Stay with them, put your hands around them, keep them safe. All of the veterans that made it up this weekend on their way home, provide them with safe travels. The whole situation up there, Consular, I ask that you look after all of them, including the other side, including the police department. Let them be touched by the kindness, by the continuous show of no weapons, that this is all being done in prayer and being guided by you. And I ask that you help each one of us as we stand up outside of North Dakota, that each one of us is touched by this, and we bring more people aware of what is going on. And to come together, this whole movement has brought so many tribes together, so many tribes, and it has brought so many non-natives together. It is a huge thing of unity that has been created. This is a prayerful movement that has taken place across the globe, and I ask that you look after them and you keep them safe, and you help all of us bring more people aware and help stop us humans from destroying this earth that you gave us. God bless you.